about the top 10 benefits of buying a new construction home in Concord, North Carolina. Also Harrisburg and Kannapolis, Mount Pleasant. I mean, we love all of Cabarrus County, but let's just talk about why you want to buy a new home. Now, you can see around me, I don't live in a brand new home. I live in a 1973 house that we took down to the studs and brought back like new. A whole different process than building new from the ground up. For the record, you can do this. I can help you. I can tell you pros and cons. Might make a video about that, but it took us over 2 years to get this done. One of the perks of new construction, it doesn't take as long as renovating a house down to the studs. Now, why doesn't it take as long? Well, builders are working off of plans and blueprints. Most of our builders in the Concord area have a list of subcontractors, so they already have their supply lines set up. They have their contractors ready to roll. They know who they use for heating and air and windows and flooring and the whole kit and caboodle. So they have a plan in place. Even custom home builders have this. So a production house, what we call a vinyl village or a cookie cutter house, they're not really cookie cutter. They're all built to spec. However, they are built from a specific set of floor plans. So when you're realizing that, the custom home builders that are building your plan versus a production builder that builds their plans, the difference is going to be speed, because a production one is going to be faster. But with that custom home, that builder also has the trades already set up. With a project like this, where you're renovating your own house, you can hire a general contractor, but if they aren't really set up in the same way that a nonstop builder is, the time frame can be wildly unpredictable, which is why it took us over 2 years to get in here. And yes, I almost lost my mind. The other reason I almost lost my mind here was the permit process. During a build process, your builder is going to be pulling the permits with the county and following up with all of the appropriate code inspectors. If you're doing a project on your own, you're going to get to ride down to Concord City Hall. And you need to make a friend down there. You need to make lots of friends down there. And even if you have a general contractor, you're probably going to be involved at some point to make sure you're staying within the governmental regulations and guidelines. So all of that to say, in my years of real estate, I have sold a ton of new homes. I got to give y'all a little bit of background as to why I love new homes so much. My granddaddy was a home builder. Now, he was a custom home builder. But when I say custom home, some of y'all are thinking about the super schwanky mansions like the ones we've seen on Lake Norman where our NASCAR drivers live, or the ones in South Charlotte where we've had a lot of very highly acclaimed musicians live, like Master P and Fantasia from American Idol. So they tend to live on the south side and the Ballantyne area. And then NASCAR drivers have flocked to Lake Norman along with Panthers players and Hornets and all such. But that's a different kind of custom home. That's the big luxury house. My granddaddy built a custom home that is very familiar to North Carolinians. A brick ranch, primarily 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,188 square feet. And if you're from the South, you just pictured that floor plan right immediately, because you would come in and there's a kitchen and a living room. You might have a formal living room as well, but you might not. You'd have a fireplace. You'd have a bedroom, 2 bedrooms on the hallway, and the full bath on the hallway so all the children could split it. And then mom and daddy had a half bath in the master bedroom. Not fancy, but well built. So I learned early on in the process about how properties were built. And frankly, it's a fascinating process. It's also where you learn a lot of words that you don't say in church on Sunday morning, and you have to not repeat what you heard. So I was raised in this business. Now, I will tell you, my granddaddy taught myself and my dad, who's been in real estate forever, you have a marble in your pocket. Do y'all know what a marble's for? Well, you drop it in the floor and see if it rolls. Then the house is not plumb. Plumb meaning it's on the correct angles and it's been done properly. A house where the marble goes, something's not on the level. That doesn't mean it's necessarily fallen down. It just means it wasn't built super strictly and tightly to the blueprints. My granddaddy didn't handle that very well. If he dropped a marble on the floor, it ought to stay put because his houses were built plumb. So he did go a little bit crazy sometimes looking at the new construction, and the speed of construction can maybe keep people from keeping an eye on the super strict details. Now, all of that to say, that's why I'm here to give you these 10 benefits of building your own home in Cabarrus County and in Concord. The first reason you want to build a new construction home, customization. I mean, think about it. There are so many people that decorate their houses and it looks exactly like them. And you walk in and say, well, that's something. And if you don't want to go into somebody else's dream and then make it yours, new construction is for you, friends. So if you're building a custom house, and I mean, you pick the floor plan, you do all the work, you can pick everything. And I mean, you can pick the outlet covers on the wall. You can put those cool USB ones in. You can pick the backsplash and the countertops and the cupboards and the flooring and the paint color and the exterior and the everything. If you're building a production home, on the other hand, so a corporate builder, neighborhood may have 5 floor plans with 5 elevations. Elevation being the outside front. Maybe it's got a front porch, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has different window configurations. The elevation's the front look. That house may have fewer customization pieces, but there will be some. The builder might say, we have 2 tiles, which one do you want? All right, you picked A. We have 2 flooring, which one do you want? You want B? All right. So you have the opportunity to have input. And for a lot of people, that makes a huge difference because your house is a giant financial investment. It's also super emotional. I mean, you're going to live there for a long time. And when you come in the door, you kind of want to walk in and say, this is mine. Huge advantage of new construction. Now, I should put a little asterisk here because the customization part ends at a certain point during the build process. If you're buying a home, and let's just say it's halfway finished when you discover it and you tell the builder you'd like to have it, the builder might say you are past the drop dead date for making any changes. In which case you'll say, all right, it's still fine. It's not anybody else. It's just going to be mine. And you just have to live with it. But if you catch it earlier in the process, there may still be some changes you could make to it. The only time you're going to have full control, though, is before it is out of the dirt. So that's why you've got to talk to your realtor as early as possible. And by early, I mean before you even go near that model home. The second benefit of new construction houses, energy efficiency. I can tell you this from my 1973 house. 1973 houses were not built for energy efficiency. When we took this house down to studs, we found that a lot of these walls didn't have insulation. That sounds crazy to you. However, insulation and the different kinds of insulation have changed over the years. So you think about what we do now, look at a house and all the conversation about the climate and the conversation about energy, and then frankly, the conversation about the cost of operating your home. Wherever you are on any of those spectrum, an energy efficient house is just going to cost you less money in the long haul, because when we talk about energy efficient features, a new house is going to have the latest and greatest. So you won't have to go back and add insulation. It's already going to be there. And it's going to be a quality that is going to be applicable to the area where you're building. You're also going to have energy efficient windows. If you're like me, you love historic houses because they have that pretty wavy glass and it's just gorgeous. But those are single pane windows. You will find dual pane windows are the standard now, where there is a gas trapped in between that helps insulate the property. You'll also find that most windows now are vinyl and not wooden, which also increases the efficiency. The heating and air units, the rules change on heating and air all the time. So the unit that was acceptable 10 years ago would not be as efficient as required now. When you buy that new home, it's going to be to the minute for standards. That doesn't mean it's going to stay there, because you do have to maintain your house, and over time, there will be items you want to go back and change and upgrade. One of the other items that's going to be different from an energy level is your appliances. They are built to be more energy efficient now, with better strip sealing on the refrigerator and freezer doors, with a different amount of heat that they put out, whether you have a gas or electric cooktop or range. Everything's different now. New construction lets you be up to the minute as far as your closing goes, so that in 10 years, you're not as far behind as you would be if you'd purchased a 1973 home. And again, I'm not trashing my house. I'm just telling you, there's a lot to consider. All right, the third item. New construction homes in Concord and everywhere else in North Carolina do carry some warranty. North Carolina general statutes require that a new house provide at least a 1-year warranty to the person who purchases it. Now, what does that cover? Well, it depends on the builder. There will be some level of requirements to reach before they fix something. So if you scratch a wall with your movers, the builder's not going to fix that. However, if you move in and you plug a hairdryer into the bathroom and then suddenly the lights go out in the house, that's when you would call your builder and say, hey, I think the electrician might ought to have a look at this. Something seems to be haywire, so to speak. And the 1-year warranty means the builder will take care of that based on the general statutes. Now, many of our builders provide longer warranties. It might be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. The longest we had in the area was John Wieland Homes, used to have a 20-year home warranty. And that might cover items like the structural items, the foundation. It might cover the roof. But roofs are going to be subject to weather. So again, that's not going to be on the builder if we have a hailstorm. It could be the framing. It could be a lot of things. There's so many items in the house. And you have to remember too, the reason for that warranty is not because we expect the house to have a ton of issues. It's because A, houses are built by humans and humans make mistakes. But B, in an area like Concord where we have 4 distinct seasons, the house really needs to go through a full heating and cooling season so that everything can expand and contract. Because that's when you figure out where you have enough caulk. You also will spot items like nail pops, nail pop being where you have a nail that holds the sheetrock to the wall. And then if they go in straight, it might come back out. You have to go in at a little bit of an angle so it doesn't jump back out of the wall. And when you see those, they're a little aggravating. The builder will come back and take care of things like that within the first year. Then you should ask questions while they're there so you know how to fix them in the future. But in that first heating and cooling season, you're really going to find out how that house is built. This is going to include all of your mechanical items and your safety items, your structural items. It is not cosmetic. I got to point that out because some people get a little crazy. Now, I'll give you a little pro tip here on the warranty with a new house. Are you ready for a pro tip on that home warranty? Do not call your builder every 5 minutes. You will aggravate their nerves and they will screen you and ghost you out. And then they will save it for one big phone call. So how about instead of being really obnoxious, you keep a nice list, keep you a notebook beside the kitchen cupboard, and as you run into things that are acting a little bit wonky, make a list. Now, of course, if it's safety related, for example, your smoke detectors quit working or you have a gas leak at the fireplace, you should call somebody right away. But for regular things like nail pops or a little bit of weather stripping or this window doesn't work quite right, keep a list, call your builder at one time. I recommend the 11-month mark so that you are almost at the end of the year. They'll come back and do your whole list. I promise you, your life will be easier and the builder will be delighted to help you because you have not been a pain in their tushy. Item number 4, new construction neighborhoods. Now, this is not the one-off house. I mean like a whole brand new neighborhood. Tend to have new amenities. Our buyers in Concord and in surrounding areas really like a neighborhood pool. I think everybody wants a pool, but not at their house. That's the perk of a neighborhood pool where you may have a lifeguard, you may not. That's a good question to ask. Might be a clubhouse, might not be. If that matters, you should ask, and also ask if there's a charge. You'll have the appropriate code level of fencing. You'll often have those zero entry areas and wading pool areas. They have really done a lot of work to update the amenity areas as far as what families need and as far as what the regulatory environment looks like. Playgrounds might pop up. You might have walking trails. That is a growing amenity since people want to be outside more. And a newer neighborhood's just going to have more of that than somewhere that's been around for 50 years. If that matters to you, it's another reason to enjoy a new build neighborhood. I'll also point out at the beginning of a neighborhood, you don't have as many neighbors that are fighting the HOA and are fighting taking care of their property. At the first few years, most of your neighbors are super excited to be in a new home and they take care of their yards. Over time, that might change. So if you want to be the person who encourages your neighbors to keep it looking great, to protect those values, buy a new home in a new neighborhood and then volunteer for the HOA board. Item number 5, new construction homes tend to be lower maintenance. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I mentioned previously when talking about energy efficiency that many folks now use vinyl clad windows. Well, a vinyl clad window does not rot. I know this sounds crazy, but when you start looking at houses built in the 70s and 80s and you see wooden windows, they look really pretty, nice aesthetic, but there's more work there. You have to paint it and take care of it to make sure that the wood does not deteriorate because we get rain here, we have a lot of humidity here, and wood is a natural product that will rot over time. Newer homes are just going to have less of that. You're also going to find that the heating and air, being brand new, won't require as much babysitting. You shouldn't have a bunch of leaky pipes and a bunch of outlets that don't work. There will be less to do with the structural items on the house and the mechanical items on the house. But what I'll tell you is this: if you want it to stay low maintenance, you still have to take care of it. That means updating the caulk, restaining your deck, keeping your shrubs trimmed and off the house. Do the things that keep it in lower maintenance mode, and the payoff is huge over time. Are you still on the fence about buying a new home in Concord, North Carolina? Are you worried about how the process works or not sure you understand these benefits? Call your girl Leigh Brown. I will help you figure out the neighborhoods and the builders and the price points. And while you're still considering it, let me give you 5 more benefits of buying that new construction home.